Is it recording? Can you hear me? Yo, welcome to episode 4 of POLYTALKS with your host, me, Paula. I hate that sounds like a nickname. Like, people call me Polly. They used to. It was very annoying. Anyway, I just did, 3 takes of this video, which is about polyamory and jealousy, the scariest emotion of all the emotions, apparently. I'm just like, damn, I sound like a textbook. And I think not everyone, there are some really dope video makers about polyamory. But man, I just felt like I was trying to be super careful and use all the terms correctly and all this stuff. That is not how I want to sound. I just want to sound like I'm not an expert on this, dudes. I haven't been polyamorous that long, like a year, and I've made a lot of epic mistakes in that time. So, I'm also really, by nature, a jealous person, which is why I absolutely want to do this topic today. Because jealousy in relationships, especially in polyamory, I feel like jealousy is actually the one thing that keeps people from trying this lifestyle. Which, more power to you if you're actually reading yourself and you're like, wow, I'm a super jealous person and I don't even want to try to get over it. You definitely shouldn't be doing polyamory right now. Like, wait till you actually want to work on that stuff, because polyamory in particular, because it's so in your face in so many ways, like, you're probably going to meet your partners. The partners of your partners, I should say, your metamors. You're probably going to see your partner being affectionate towards someone who isn't you right in front of you if you get to that level. It's gonna promote you working on yourself more intensely than most other relationship styles. The thing that's cool, though, is if you take the time to watch this video about jealousy, even if you're not poly, it's still going to help you in life, because here's the thing that I don't quite understand about a lot of people who don't want to do polyamory because jealousy might happen. Jealousy is everywhere, yo. Like, if you're already thinking, I don't want to do poly because jealousy happens in there, it's because you're already working off a fear of jealousy because you've already experienced it somewhere else. You can have jealousy at school, man. You can have it at work. You can have it in monogamy, obviously. You can have it in polyamory. You can have it with your friend. Like, it's just a life thing. It's not like a poly thing. So I believe in the human capacity to get over jealousy as long as your mental state is relatively foundational and strong. So with that in mind, with me assuming that you want to work on this stuff, this is what this video is about. As I said, I'm a jealous being. I totes am. I have a massive ego. I love being on camera, as you can see. I love, the feeling of being admired. I don't so much love the idea of, being someone's special someone, which is probably why I'm not monogamous, but I just love being admired for, the work that I do. So, jealousy happens to me a lot because my ego is both very large and very small in different respects, but in the ways that it's large, it's large. And it gets broken like a tiny twig sometimes. So when I feel jealousy, I feel like it's mostly like my brain goes on fire. Like, I'll feel that chest stabby stab thing, but then I just have these frenetic, annoying thoughts for hours. Like, it feels kind of like when you have a fever and your brain just is thinking crazy shit all of the time and you can't control it. That's what my absolutely unchecked jealousy feels like. It is the worst. I have definitely been guilty of going into polyamory with an entire contract. Like, my partner and I last summer, we had a contract, a proper please sign on the dotted line. And contracts are, for the most part, 95% of the time, a big indicator that whoever is writing and agreeing them is trying to keep themselves safe from emotions like jealousy. Jealousy is an umbrella emotion that covers up things like fear, sadness, insecurity, grief, tons of stuff. It's this is why people call it a monster, because, man, it's a monstrous thing to face. especially if you're doing a lot of unconscious work to avoid looking at it. That's when the monster gets crazy big. So coming from someone who experiences jealousy, there are really practical things you can do to not have it be such an intense presence in your life. I would say start tiny. If you're a jealous person, number one, say, let's use the example of you're polyamorous and your partner is going on a date. And it's gonna be like, maybe I'll stay overnight with this person if it goes well. And so the more the night goes on, the more you're like, oh my God, it's going well and it's not with me. That's fucking terrifying, especially if it's like your first foray into this. So in that situation, ask for help, man. Don't interrupt the date though. That is, unless you're actually like dying and you're having like heart palpitations and you're going to the ER because of your anxiety, don't like text your partner and be like, oh, I feel really bad, like please come home. Don't do that, man. Ask friends, ask outside people. Ask people who are not trying to nurture another relationship right now. Just be like, hey, Friday night, my partner's going out. I need something to do. And I'm not saying that you need to constantly ask for support because that's a band-aid solution basically. But you can definitely do it. Like have it in your mind like, hey, first like 3 times, I'm gonna be busy these nights. Preferably don't go out and like drink and cover up your pain. Like actually find a friend who is a confidant who you can say like, I feel like shit right now. I need you to just like hug me and feed me Oreos or whatever. But have your partner know that you feel like that, not as a guilt trip, but as a genuine like, I am trying to get a different support system for that night. So I love knowing when you're going on a date because then I need to, for at least this beginning portion of this relationship, I need to plan something else. Like you're trying to help yourself and you're letting your partner know that like you're experiencing these things, but you are trying to help yourself. So that's a double whammy of self-help because your partner's aware of what you're going through. You're giving him or her active permission to still live their life. And they're also going away knowing that you're not just a sad basket case who they left on the kitchen floor crying. Like you're doing stuff. So yes, totally ask your friends. And also use your partner and your metamor for what they are. Support people in your life. Even if you're not besties with your metamor, because you might not have met him or her yet, or you might not want to, but this is actually my point. If you're a very jealous person, my number one prescription for you, meet your freaking metamor who is causing this jealousy. Even if it's just, you know, the way your partner talks about them, you're building up this person in your brain like they are the most, like the hottest, the prettiest, the most capable, the most interesting, the most charismatic, just the most unattainable, unreal human being you can think of. I'm sure a very jealous person will be able to create that being in their brain. And it's terrible. It's a terrible torture to you to continuously let your imagination play games with yourself. So like adopt like a stoic kind of outlook here. You need to find yourself some facts rather than relying on your emotions to just run havoc with whatever image they can come up with, which I assure you is always going to be insanely unrealistic and horrible to endure for you. You need to meet the person, you need to be respectful as possible, and you need to be like real vulnerable. Here's the thing about polyamory, when it comes to anything that requires you being in an uncomfortable situation. Polyamory across the board, and any relationships really, like any solid relationships, you need to have the emotional capacity to look like a screaming child in order to become the best adult you can be. You need to have both things available. You need to be emotionally elastic. So you need to be able to say the truth, man. This person scares the shit out of me. This person seems like the perfect ideal for you to start replacing me. You need to say all of this stuff to your partner. And not in a way where you're just like crying and whining about it. Also, preface all of this with, I know these thoughts are irrational, but I'm still feeling like crap right now. Because there's a difference between straight up jealousy, which is what I'm talking about right now, and then I'm actually being abused and coerced into doing things that make me super uncomfortable. That I'm going to do a whole video about separately, because there's like a lot of subtle things there that should be acted totally differently upon if you are actually being abused. But straight up jealousy, it's irrational. It's based on stuff that you don't know about, and so instead you are making up a huge, scary story. And that is not worth your happiness, my dear. So, meet your metamors. They are, I'd say that meeting, probably the number one magic pill to getting over your jealousy. To just realize like, hey, they're not a demon and they're just a human. And also, polyamory is about like a profound level of trust in your partner to pick someone that is genuinely important to them. So you can't just go around like calling everyone toxic that your partner picks just because you feel uncomfortable. You have to trust that they're picking people who are genuinely important to them, and they're not just like spending time with this person to torture you. That's just a bad foundation for your relationship. Don't believe that of your partner. You want to have a strong, solid relationship together. You want to have this with all of your partners. So yeah, meet people as much as you can. Open yourself up. That's kind of what polyamory is about. When people say open relationships, it means opening your heart. It's not just like more sex for all. So, yeah, tell people when you're scared. It really helps. If you're wondering what I'm looking at in the corner, is my handy notebook. Honestly, those are my, I was gonna say that's all my tips, but no, it's not quite all my tips. You need to also, so not only make a support plan for yourself, maybe with friends, but you also need to meet your metamors, and you also need to do some stuff by yourself. Here is the ultimate kind of sign that you're actually working on your jealousy. You're able to just look at it in the face. So I do this quite literally with a technique that I'm learning with my friend. Would love to link like her Instagram here or her website or something. So I'll do that when she's got more info about it. I learned a focusing meditation technique a while ago, and maybe I'll do a whole other video, hopefully with her, about this. But it is just based on, hey, let's actually sit down and almost pretend that this emotion is like a whole other creature that I can then visualize sitting across from me, and I'm just eating dinner with it. So I'm eating dinner with my jealousy. And it's like tearing the walls down around us and throwing food everywhere. And being the biggest little bitch of a baby that you can imagine, because that is what jealousy wants you to be if it really had full control over you. Like, jealousy makes people do crazy things when it goes unchecked. So here's an example of an emotional evolution. It goes from your partner having date nights and you maybe making plans to go see friends to distract yourself or to at least get outside support from somewhere else, to you learning to be your own support pillar. So when the silence hits you, when you're at home alone, one of those date nights, and that little voice comes back and says, "You're being replaced," you have really simple tools to go inside your mind and not distract yourself, but actually deal with it. Here's the crazy revelation. Any of you watching this right now, you've experienced some shit in your life. Your emotions have been either so dulled down because you've just been like beaten consistently in the same way emotionally, possibly even physically. So you don't feel things at all anymore in one capacity, and other times your emotions are so heightened that they just blind you, sometimes for days. You're just obsessed with this one emotion. And yet you're still here. And that seems possibly cliche to say, but nothing you've ever felt in your life so far has killed you. You haven't even gotten a scratch from it. And it doesn't have the capacity to hurt you. It only has the capacity if you keep ignoring it and keep kind of like doing little actions that are actually fueled by the emotion. So say if I started to say, oh, you have your date on Friday night, but weren't we supposed to go spend time with my mom that night? That would be me really passive aggressively saying like, I want to keep you here with me all the time because I'm fucking scared of losing you. That's jealousy. It's fear covered up in this slimy suit. So instead, catch yourself. Like, know your own patterns. Know where you want to have more control over your partners than is actually ethical. You don't own anyone, man. Even if it's your husband and he's got a ring on his finger. Even if it's your wife and she's got the same thing. You don't own anyone. The only emotional connection that you legally own are your pets. And you still have to respect them. So people aren't your pets, man. They are their own entire creatures. And the sooner you appreciate that fact, even about yourself, the sooner you'll be able to say, oh, jealousy really is something I need to get over so that I can really see how humans are without this crazy veil on. It just makes your relationship so much clearer, so much more mature, and way less dramatic. If people are actively working on their jealousy, especially if they're all like within your polycule and you're all talking about it and you're all working on it and you can laugh at it, oh my god, it helps so much to laugh at it, especially like directly with the metamor. That would be magical. Or with your partner or both, man, that'd be great. Because we're not here for very long. And don't spend your life creating relationships that don't actually give you the space to be completely vulnerable. Again, always aim for a relationship that lets you be that screaming child and the best adult all in one place. So, hopefully that helps you. If you're a super jealousy inclined person, such as myself, helps you get over that fact and work those emotional muscles a little bit more. Next episode, I'm kind of still deciding. I might do that whole jealousy versus I'm being abused emotionally thing. I've got a few ideas. So we'll see you next time I do a video. I was going to say next week, but like, why would we put time limits on stuff? That's for like corporate work, man. We're not in that right now. Okay, bye. Thanks for joining.